Welcome to the Digital Access Show. My name's Narelle Wright, and I have Louise Chiu from the Loan Lounge with us this week. Why? Yeah, Louise is a mortgage broker, but Louise is a mortgage broker with a difference. She's based in Sydney. There are a lot of mortgage brokers in Sydney. Yes, Louise does originate from another country. She's an Aussie. Well, I never think about it. Louise is an Aussie. However, think about it. Louise will be dealing with people that often come from other countries. The documents in Australia are written in English for Australians. It's a digital communication barrier. Louise Chiu, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you, Narelle, for having me on your show.
Louise, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your work, please?
Yep, I'm Louise Chiu, and I have a mortgage broking business under the Loan Lounge Group. So, Loan Lounge, our point of difference is we're not just helping people get your loans approved, but we also donate part of our trail commissions to ending human trafficking. So we
Oh
believe
my,
in doing business, with a much greater social impact, and like we love blessing other people, from what we do. So yeah, that's why I joined the Loan Lounge brand, and this is meaningful, right?
yes.
Being in business, yeah, making profits for ourselves to feed our families, but also blessing the wider community.
And the reason we met was we met at the Celebrate Women's Awards last year in Sydney.
Yeah, that's
And we
right.
we got to talking about digital accessibility,
Mm,
mortgage broking, and the fact that the documents are not accessible.
mm.
And I got to thinking when I came home, now you've been in Australia for how many years?
Oh, 20 years now.
Yeah,
Been a long time.
yeah, but you've got the Aussie accent. It's okay. What what are, when you think about it, when you came to Australia, there would have been a lot of barriers because all our forms are in English and even the vernacular, the way we say things is very different from formal English. How much
Mm.
of a struggle was that?
I think it's something you got to get used to. So, I mean, I'm from Singapore, so
Yeah,
our first language, written language, is in English. So we do all our studies in English.
yeah,
So I guess from an understanding point is not as bad, but yeah, there's so many slangs in Australia, right?
mm,
Arvo,
yeah,
flip-flops, like I said, bulldozer.
yeah,
I mean, there's just some things you got to get used to and be like, what? And like, oh, drop bat. Like, I mean, what's a drop bat? I've never heard of that.
yeah,
I know that's a joke, but yeah, I mean, we try to scare people
yeah.
from coming to Australia, right? But I think yeah, definitely. I mean, like culturally wise, language wise, there's always going to be barriers. Yeah, and I guess in the mortgage sense as well, there's just so
Mm.
many options, and every bank does it differently. The forms are different. So I can imagine for like, a visually impaired person,
Mm.
trying to get, you know, just trying to review stuff. It could be all different formats, and I'm not sure whether the forms, can be read by your software easily. So, and you are filling up the forms, right? Every
Mm.
bank is different. What is required is different. That's why you come to mortgage brokers by us, but it is definitely not easy.
Louise, when you're saying that, when you when you sign a mortgage, it's a legal
Mm,
document, right?
yes, correct.
Now you've said every bank's different, every form is different.
Yeah.
And like someone with dyslexia or acquired brain injury or color blindness, it doesn't really
Mm.
matter what the disability is. They're going to struggle with those forms. And it's not even just people with disability, is it? It's everyone struggles with those forms.
Oh, yes.
But
Even, these are like legal documents. I mean, the
yeah,
banks. Yeah, I mean, it is complicated and it's probably drafted in such a way that, for even for normal people to understand is difficult enough.
Mm.
But obviously, because you want to borrow money from a bank, you have to either understand it yourself, or I mean, I mean, as a broker, I do go through the documents with a client, but it's still a
Yeah,
legal document. And if you need to get like legal advice, and you said from a language perspective, if English is not your first language, then it's even harder, isn't it? So you need an interpreter.
yeah.
And legally, like, it's not just your family member, but you need to get like an interpreter that's authorized to actually explain to you all the
Oh.
legal terms, or a lawyer who is trained to be able to explain to you in the language that you prefer.
And that was going to be my question. How legal is it signing those documents? Because you're meant to, I know from past experience signing mortgage documents, you're stating
Hmm.
that you understand those documents.
Yeah.
But we both know, and we've talked about how different people read things differently. It can be the same words,
Hmm.
but depending on where you put the stop, where you pause, you take a breath, it changes the meaning. Even the way the
Hmm.
intonation that you use changes it, doesn't it? So, how can a person say that they actually understand the documents when they can't read the documents?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's a straightforward answer.
Yeah.
Uh, like you've mentioned, we all know it's a legal document.
Mm.
But how much do we understand our obligations, when it comes to signing that as a legal document? I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, it's questionable from a practical perspective.
Yeah.
So, if you really want to understand, then, you really need to get an interpreter to explain to you the whole document. And obviously, the interpreter has to be financially trained as well. So, there are many hurdles. I mean, again, like practically most of the time, it will be your family member
Yeah.
that will be explaining to you. And as a broker, I've got to make sure that my client does understand what they're undertaking. So there are obligations on my part as well to explain things to them like I do speak Mandarin, so I do explain things to them in Mandarin.
Hmm.
But like legally, if they really want to make sure that they understand what they're signing, and if it's really too difficult, they should be actually engaging a lawyer who can explain the legal terms to them.
When you're dealing with a client that has English as a second language,
Mhm.
even before the documents, trying to explain the whole process and translating those words, because that would be before the interpreter comes in at times. Say you've got someone from Italy, I'll pick Italy,
Mm. Yeah.
and they don't know Mandarin, they've been referred to you because you're great. How hard is it to get the message across that the legal meanings behind these words? Because
Mm.
you don't even start with the forms, do you? It's that initial conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I would prefer to, have a client that, really could understand what I'm saying and in the
Yeah,
language that they're comfortable with.
yeah,
If I'm taking on a client, so I did have yeah, I think it's a Middle Eastern client, and
yeah.
he was trying to help his dad get a mortgage.
Mm,
In the end, I mean, I had to say, like, I think it's better if you find a broker that can explain to your dad in his language, because I think it was getting to the point that I don't think the dad really understood what I was trying to explain
yeah.
to his son.
Mm,
So, I think as a responsible broker, like I wouldn't want to go down that path where if the client really doesn't understand me and I'm trying to give him credit advice, it's not going
mm,
to work out in the end.
yeah.
But yeah, if the client, still does understand some basic English, and I mean, terms I can explain in Mandarin, and basically, like you said, conduct the interview to understand what they're actually after. Are they trying to buy a home, or are they trying
Mhm.
to refinance to get a better rate? Yeah, so those things, I can have a conversation with them. So most clients, if they do speak Mandarin, even broken Mandarin or whatever,
Mm.
they would be able to, have a conversation with me to explain their goals. And from there, like I think everyone understands dollars, which is good.
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah, it's explaining to them, how maybe purchasing a house would work. You need a solicitor as well or a conveyancer,
Hmm.
that due diligence stuff you need to do, and then obviously the finance bit, how much they have in the bank, what they're earning, how much they need to borrow. So those things, if the client can understand that, then that's all right. Yeah.
What about someone like myself that can't read
Mm.
the paperwork?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Because you and I have had a few conversations about this one as well. Because there are
Mm.
a lot of people, say, with dyslexia where they can see, but they
Mm-hmm.
can't read, or low vision or color
Mm.
blindness where the paperwork is just not visible to them.
Mm.
How, as a mortgage broker, should what should a person expect from their mortgage broker in that instance?
Yeah, so I would say, no one broker is the same, right? Like even
Hmm.
you find a doctor, they're different doctors with different skill sets, and some things they're more willing to treat. Some
Yeah.
is too risky for them. They might not want to do the surgery.
Hmm.
So with the broker as well, like, you got to find someone that you obviously trust.
Mm.
And yeah, we could, conduct the interview via Zoom, and I could, if like you can't read the documents, like for
Mm.
me, because my mom is hearing impaired,
She's too.
so she's got a disability. So I've been her years since I was a kid,
Hmm.
always following her to doctor's surgery office, to the lawyers, to wherever I'm needed, I'm
Yeah.
always there. So I do understand, like, it's so difficult for a person with a disability, especially vision. Like if you have to
Yeah.
read stuff, it's like kind of nearly impossible or
Mm.
with so much difficulty. So for me, I'm more than happy to, walk through the client, read out every single thing that's on the form.
Hmm.
Um, and we can keep a recording of it, for example, right? And then the
That's a
client
good
can,
idea.
yeah, and they can read through it to understand, like, so if the box wants you to declare your income, so I'll ask
Yep.
you what your income is, and I'll get you to send me pay slips, and I can explain to you what I'm extracting from your pay slip, so that
Hmm.
you know that that's the thing I'm putting on the form, and you're happy with that. It matches up. Yeah, and your expenses. So there's discussions that I can have with, your goals, what you want to do, as well as reading out the forms to you and explaining, yeah, what is required before I put in an application, because my obligations as a broker is to make sure that it's done in your best interest, and we have the best interest duty as well. So if you're having a hard time reading the documents, and if you're happy if I read it out for you, and we can have it on screen as well, so I'm actually reading the right thing. I'm not reading
Yeah.
something else. I think that makes it much easier for the client.
Actually, that's a really good idea because that's really using technology in a smart
Mm,
way because the technology's there.
yeah. And you could probably, have a summary of the notes that's discussed. We could, have an AI software there.
Yep.
And yeah, we could record the discussion, and then you could review it later, like, oh, maybe I've missed out something I need to tell Louise,
Mm.
or I don't think I've said it correctly to Louise, and she might misunderstand, and we can always clarify certain things. I mean, the process will obviously be longer, but
Mm.
it's ultimately doing it right for the client, and to make sure that the right information is put on the form, so that the banks understand, why you're getting finance, and explaining everything, and whatever we put on the form is justifiable. It can be supported by documents, and I think
Yeah.
that's the important bit, right?
I actually really like what a simple idea. Just record all the sessions on Zoom or Teams. That
Yeah,
solves the problem, doesn't it? Because as you said, AI is there to act as a backup with the AI notes.
yeah,
And then AI can be used to create headings because a person that uses assistive technology, uses, headings are a physical navigation tool.
Mm.
Simple. Doesn't
Yeah.
take,
So
it's not rocket science, is it?
yeah, it's not. So I think even Teams or Zooms, you've got that transcription thing, but I mean putting an AI tool in or I mean whatever tool the client's comfortable
Yeah.
with. And I mean I think it's just important to explain the client, the AI tool there is to help you so
Yeah.
that you have a record of what was discussed and how yeah, and what needs to go on the forms and explain like why I need this information. I'm not just trying to dig up a juicy story from you, but I'm just trying to understand, the full circumstances and like why you need a loan or what I need to put on the form.
Mm.
So, yeah, AI can be scary, but it can be great in many ways too.
Yeah. And the positive with that too is because it's a recording with the script through the AI, and it's used in a private channel through Zoom or Teams, your information's private. Doesn't matter.
Mm, yeah.
You wouldn't want to go and put it on ChatGPT because anyone can access it. But yeah, it's all about doing things simply, isn't it?
Yeah. And in the most efficient or beneficial way to the
Yeah,
client. Yeah.
yeah. What are some other things that you would say to other mortgage brokers to think about? Because that one tip is probably the best thing you could provide. What are other simple things to help other mortgage brokers see that whether they're from another country, another language, people with disability, whatever, that the mortgage broking process can be accessible?
Yeah, I mean, every broker or brokerage firm has their own processes.
Mm,
So, them like I said, there might be brokers who are like, this is too troublesome a process. They wouldn't want to deal with certain clients,
mm,
or they just prefer to deal with certain clients and that's the preference. So, I think it's important to find a good broker that will work with you, whatever your
mm,
circumstances is. I've got a client who, reached out and say like, I've asked to speak to a couple of brokers, but they just want to charge me a fee for even talking to me. So I said, no, more than happy to, just have a chat. And
mm,
she had like a negative credit score.
mm,
But I was just trying to help her, like, you really need to clear this, like why do you even have this on your credit report?
mm,
And she explained the story and I just kind of advised her what to do. So, like I said, it's really just finding a broker that you can trust and work
yeah,
with and, would go through this process with you. Yeah, because you want to be explain the right things, right? You don't want someone
mm,
to take you on a ride and like you're not going to get your loan approved. So, yeah, just find the right person who's willing to,
yeah,
do whatever it takes to help you on this journey because yeah it's not like I mean it's not going to a shop to buy something. I mean this is
mm,
a huge financial
yeah,
transaction even with normal clients. I mean not even talking about anything.
mm,
Yeah, even sometimes a simple purchase and depending on the client circumstances the whole thing can drag out quite a bit.
mm,
So yeah, so it really depends on the broker just working with you and working for you to help you get that finance you need.
yeah. It's an interesting area. You made a comment before about your mum has a hearing impairment and she lives with you now in Australia.
Yeah.
How hard has it been? Does your mum's first language is English as well? Or
No, her first language would be Mandarin.
yeah,
But legal documents, I mean, she she used to be better at reading in English, but I
mm,
think she's just relying on me a lot.
yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, normally, even at hospitals, they actually recommend her to have an interpreter, but
yeah,
she will always turn down that service because I'm the only one she trusts, right?
yeah,
So again, I think it's a personal preference. Some people would get an interpreter, which makes a lot of sense.
mm,
And they're trained interpreters. But my mom obviously just trusts me, so I
mm.
basically do all the interpretation
But
for her.
when you think about it, it comes back to, as you said, trust and confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for her living in Australia, that must be pretty hard at times as well. If you're hearing impaired, your English is not good,
Mhm.
must be frustrating for her.
Uh, Interestingly, yeah, I mean, there are times when it's hard, but mom actually gets around on her own quite a bit.
Mm,
She's actually pretty good at looking at bus timetables and,
mm.
taking public transport as well on buses, on
Yeah,
trains. So I've never had to like, pick her up from, some place far away from home where she's gotten lost. So
yeah,
she's actually doing pretty well. So that's why
yeah,
I said when she's not with me, she's actually quite independent. But once
yeah,
she's with me, she was like, "Oh no, I can't do this. I can't do that."
yeah. And
Yeah, so like
she's your
basic
mum.
stuff she can actually read, but once she's with
Yeah,
me, it's like, "Oh, why don't you just read it for me?" Yeah, so it's just a funny and yeah, interesting
yeah,
observation that I made.
yeah. It's just interesting, isn't it? And
Yeah,
it's your mum's. You always do these things for your mum, don't you?
yeah.
Louise, how do people get in contact with you? Because
Um, mm,
such a simple solution for the mortgage process. Use Zoom and Teams.
yeah. Yeah, it's not hard to find me.
Hmm.
If you Google Louise Chiu, I hope I think my name does come up on the
Yep,
first page of Google searches, which is
yep,
good. CHIU. But yeah, search Loan Lounge, or I've got my website as well, louisechiu.com.au.
yep.
Yeah, I love speaking about financial literacy. And I think that is really what I'm passionate about. And yeah, Loan Lounge and through mortgage broking, I can practically help clients with loans. But
Yeah.
overall, like I think financial education and understanding your personal finances is such an important thing.
And if you have trouble accessing information because of disability,
Hmm.
then there are ways around it, and you know those ways.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's just thinking out of the box.
Mm,
Like, it is, I mean, I would normally have Zoom calls with my clients or WhatsApp
mm,
calls. It really depends on what the clients want. And if you're in Sydney, I would love to meet you in person because I feel
yeah.
that, you really need to trust the broker that you're working with.
Mm,
And I'm more than happy to come out to see you. But I've got clients in Queensland, in Victoria. So it doesn't really matter where you're physically based.
mm,
We're so advanced with technology, like you said, like these AI tools are,
yeah.
something that is more common in the last year or so. So, we can use whatever means to communicate and yeah, write emails. And I think you've got software that can read emails quite
Mm,
easily. So
yeah.
I think whatever it is not hard to find a solution. That's what I personally believe. I just feel that, I'm a solutions-based broker. The
Mm.
most important thing is finding the right solution for the right client.
And the thing is, it all comes back to trust, doesn't it? Having trust and trusting that the mortgage broker is going to do the right thing and be confident that they understand your circumstances.
Yeah. I tell my clients
Mm.
all the time, like, what I do for you is what I'll do for myself.
Yeah,
So, most banks pay about the same rates. I don't even know bank A pays me this or
mm,
bank B pays me this. It honestly doesn't really matter. And
yeah,
like I said, it's really just finding the right solution for the
yeah.
client at that point in time.
Thanks, Louise. Thanks so much for coming on the show. It's always amazing, isn't it? Because it's always the simplest solutions to a problem.
Mm,
And, having being able to listen to a form and play it again for yourself so that you understand using AI will make the mortgage process so easy. So if you like what we do, please like, subscribe, review. And for those that are not sure where I'm steering like him, I've actually had a big sight loss and I've actually put behind the camera the only color that I can sort of see a bit clearly, which is this blue, and it's a blue Bluetooth speaker, I think. But I
yeah.
sit and stare at it and it
Uh,
works. Always simple things, and that way I know I'm looking at the camera. As I said, simple things, simple solutions. And we'll see you next week on the Digital Access Show. Have a good week.